Well, it's a joy to be with all of you. This reading is from Whispers from Eternity by Paramhansa Yogananda, entitled, Demand to Travel by the One Highway of Realization. Our one Father, we are traveling by many true paths toward thy one abode of light. Show us the one highway of common realization where all bypaths of theological beliefs meet. Make us feel that the diverse religions are branches of thy one tree of truth. Bless us that we may enjoy the intuition-tested, ripe, luscious fruits of self-knowledge hanging from the many branches of true spiritual teachings. In thy one temple of silence, we will sing to thee a chorus of many-voiced religions. Teach us to chant in harmony with thy love's manifold expressions at our chorus of souls. Rouse thee to break thy vow of cosmic silence and lift us onto thy lap of universal, immortal understanding. Years ago, in the late 70s, early 80s, we were running the Sacramento Center, and we were doing all that we could, of course, to be creative in getting the word out. And so I thought, well, I think I'll go to one of the large malls and put flyers on their windshields. And I thought, this is probably a little risky. I might get into trouble, and I did, but it's a happy ending. So there it was, the parking lot was jam-packed, and I was delighted. And I had a big handful of flyers, and I'd never done this before, and I never did it again. And so there I was, putting flyers on these windshields, and I had gone down one whole row. I had many more rows to go, but so far so good. When all of a sudden, this fellow started yelling at me, probably from 100 yards off. And I thought, well, you knew that there would be a risk to this, and here we go. And I didn't run away. I figured, this was something that I caused. I caused this trouble for him. And so I should just wait and see what comes of this. And so he continued to yell as he was walking toward me. And then when we were very close, the yelling went on for about a minute or two. And I learned very quickly he was a born-again Christian that was outraged by this flyer that I put in, which was Master's teachings and advertised their classes and so on. And so after, I don't know, about a minute, there was a pause, and I took advantage of that pause. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I can see that you're very committed to your path. And that's wonderful. Well, I'm very committed to mine. And so we're not going to change each other. I have a thought. Why don't we help people that don't have a path? And his face lit up, and he said, I can live with that, brother, and gave me a hug and walked away. I never forgot that, because, again, I didn't know what that experience, was going to be. Well, this next reading is from Lahiri Mahashaya, from the chapter of the autobiography of a yogi. And Lahiri, we really can't be grateful enough for what he's done for all of us and, of course, for the world, because Babaji, and rightfully so, he didn't want to bring out Kriya. At that time, this was, the 1800s, there was not much receptivity. And so he was just going to keep the powerful technique we have of Kriya Yoga. He was going to wait for the right timing. Was that going to be another century or two? Deeper into Dwapara Yuga and the change of the guards of the yugas from Kali to Dwapara, who's to say? Luckily for all of us, Lahiri Mahashaya, who was a householder, had children and responsibility, said, please, there are so many sincere people. Can't we find a way, which is to say, can't you find a way to relax a bit around this? These are good people, and there's many people that cannot go up to the Himalayas and be in the caves and seek God in that way. What did Babaji say? Be it so. And so we're very, very fortunate that Lahiri Mahashaya saved us and saved the world by his infinite compassion. And so this is a short reading drawn from the Christ's life of Lahiri Mahashaya. A significant feature of Lahiri Mahashaya's life was his gift of Kriya initiation to those of every faith. Not Hindus only, but Muslims and Christians were among his foremost disciples. Those of all faiths or of no established faith were impartially received and instructed by the universal Guru. It shows great courage on the path to Lahiri Mahashaya that although a high caste Brahmin, he tried his utmost to dissolve the rigid caste bigotry of his time. Those from every walk of life found their shelter under the Master's omnipresent wings. Like all God-inspired prophets, Lahiri Mahashaya gave new hope to the outcasts and downtrodden of society. Sometimes we think, this was certainly my early struggle on the path, that God and the great ones were just, basically say, well, when you get your trip together, then we'll give you a hand. And obviously, I was suffering from spiritual indigestion and didn't understand that these souls are omnipresent, as Master demonstrated and all the great saints demonstrated again and again, that they are in all bodies. When Swami was with Master during those precious times in the desert at 29 Palms, then Master at one point was walking with Swami, and Swami needed to hold him up because he, in those later years, was in a state of unbroken samadhi. And what did Master say? It's so hard to keep this one body going. I'm in all bodies. And again, he demonstrated this again and again and again until, without question, the disciples knew he was not just affirming. This was his true experience. And that's why we're all here, because we're beginning to taste of mini omnipresence, many blissful omnipresence. And with that, that gives us great hope and great encouragement, because with this little taste, find a little bubble of joy and puff on it. With this little taste, we're beginning more and more to appreciate what Master said, which was simply go after Nirvikalpa Samadhi in this life. And we think, perhaps, who me? But that needs to be cast to the side vigorously, because we have really, really, really put out a lot of energy to get to the point where we've pierced the veil and now we have gone inside. At the same time, we need to be gracious and appreciate that God will give us our freedom, our final freedom, bliss for eternity, at the right time. And because God is perfection, we want that. We want it to be the right time. We want it to be the perfect time. Is it going to be the next moment? Because God comes like a thief in the night, perhaps. Keep our options open. And at the same time, if it goes on, fine. Because again, we can be encouraged that time and space are an illusion. And that we are the same as these great souls, that we have our gurus and the other saints that are present here and around the world and through the centuries, that we're the same as they are. There's just a slight loose end, and we should keep that in mind, just a little loose end, a little bit of karma that needs to be released, and then we will be free. Recently I was reading about, if I get the pronunciation right, if there's Indians in the audience and you can help me. Now, what is her name now? Is it Shabala?
Shefali.
No, it's not Shefali. It's the one who was sweeping the path for Rama. Shabari. Thank you. Yeah, I went to, because YouTube and all that has everything, and I got pronunciation of that, and look, I completely fouled up, but thankfully that's where all of us come in, constantly helping one another. No, that wasn't quite it, but we kind of had an idea of what you're talking about. And so inspired, she became a saint, so inspired because she was a long time sweeping the path for the coming of Rama that she knew was coming. She knew that. She knew in our hearts, as we know in our hearts, because we wouldn't be here on this path, on our own path. We didn't know that self-effort draws grace, and we need to continue to sweep that path. And what is that? Well, the saints tell us right here, my friends, that's the path. We know that. That's the path. It's the path of the spine, the inner spine where the chakras reside. And so we make it very easy. Just clean your house. When you clean your house, you can go out to play. In blissful omnipresence, we were taught that at a very young age. I don't know about you, but I didn't like to clean my room. Now I enjoy cleaning, but not then. I wanted to go out to play. And so my mother was always inspecting the room, which I didn't think was fair. She should have taken my word for it. And so she would come in, and it was spotless, absolutely spotless, except I was leaning against the cupboard, the sliding door, and he was on an angle. And I was like this, okay, Mom, come on in. And she would smile, because I did this every single time. I must have been an idiot. You know, come up with something different, you know. Throw your stuff in the garage in big trash bags or something, then have Mom come in and inspect. And I'd be leaning against that. She said, oh, this is very good. Very, very good. Oh, let me check the closet. Every single time, and I was little, I'd burst out crying, no fair. And so we need to be good sports with our spiritual path. Everyone, really, there's as many spiritual paths as there are people. But nevertheless, the spiritual path, and as Yogananda said to one of the disciples, who was very concerned because they were feeling, maybe it was intuition, who's to say, that they were going to be leaving the path at one point. And they were very concerned about that. And what was Master's consolation? Simply, how could you be concerned about that? Everyone's on the spiritual path. And that is indeed the case. Now for a little water break. It's thirsty work up here. Mm-hmm. Thank you for those that have provided the liquid refreshment. I had a very interesting experience at the Expanding Light years ago when we served there. And it was a person who came up, very sincere, and wanted to take discipleship, but she had an issue. And so we talked about it, and she shared that, you know, they're all men. They're all men on this path. And as she shared, that, you know, for her, this was a real problem because in her childhood, I don't remember the details, maybe it was her father, maybe it was her brother, the next door neighbor, the bullies, who's to say, but she had had issues with this male energy. And yet she didn't know what to do. She was truly in a crisis because her heart was so drawn to becoming a disciple. So as we talked and so on, she said, well, you know, why don't I just think about it? Why don't I meditate on it? I said, that's good. That's the way to go. And so after a few days, she came back. She says, I'm ready, and I'll tell you what happened. This was my journey. I said to Master, I said, I want to be a disciple, but the only way I can be a disciple is if you'll be my mother. And she felt inside the inner nod. And so she was then ready. Just like when Norman said, as Swamiji shares, I believe, in the path, that when he saw Master, he felt that this was Divine Mother. When he told Master this, what did Master do? He got his cane and just tapped him there on the leg, then act accordingly. And so it was so touching, because this soul could have just said, that's it. I'll go find some other path. But her heart was so full of Master's presence that she knew that she had to find some solution. Every problem has a solution, even problems that are, massive like this. And I was very proud of her, because it wasn't a few months or a few years or a decade that passed. She knew that this was urgent, and it is urgent for all of us in a joyous way, that we do all that we can to sincerely find our path and dive deep in our path and do what we can for others. Swamiji, and he again, as a private man, didn't share his spiritual experiences very often. But in the later years, there, I believe it was in Italy, it might have been in Switzerland, he had this, what I am remembering was a dream. And it was of all these different types, mafioso, housewives, rocket scientists, the whole gamut of all of these people. And he felt from this experience that they were all just wanting happiness. And it really, really was a profound experience, such that numbers of different times he shared that with us, how it had opened his heart. I don't remember when, probably some years ago. Was it Reader's Digest? I have no idea. But a fascinating experience this man had. He was a black man, and he felt inside that he wanted to have a dialogue with the Ku Klux Klan. And, that could be life-threatening, obviously. But that was his calling. Maybe he was born with that, like Lincoln died with the thought, as Master said, of that desire for racial equality. And he was a great yogi, apparently, in the Himalayas, came back as Lincoln, and then had, of course, the incredible lifetime as he did. And so this man didn't know what to think of this. Would anyone respond when he knocked on the door and say, oh, I was wondering if you'd like to go out for coffee? He didn't know. As it turned out, it wasn't just a few people. This was a span of time that it took. It was years of effort, knocking on the door of these Ku Klux Klan people and getting a positive response. And what did he say? You know something? Why don't we get together? I mean, we are human beings. We have our own paths and all of that. Why don't we get together and just talk? And in the beginning, certainly the first time, it was really tense. Really, really tense. But word got out as they became friends. Until finally, along the way, with his growing confidence, that this was something. It was a true calling, and it was working out. He went and banged on the door of one of the Grand Wizards. Now, maybe it was the Grand Wizard, I don't remember. And that experience was, of course, very profound, and no doubt changed a lot of people's lives. Took a lot of courage for this man to, again, embark on this, what might have been a perilous journey. And hundreds then were touched because there was that understanding that we're all one. And we need to respect ourselves and respect others, that everyone, as Yogananda said, is on the spiritual path. Perhaps I've shared this with some of you. This was something that was very interesting. when we were living here at the village, long back, we went to our little post office here and got a bundle of letters, and big chunk was junk mail. And so put it on the counter when I got home, and it sat there for a day or so. Well, then I had reformed. I am a Virgo after all, and so I was into cleaning. And so time to get rid of this junk mail that had been sitting on the counter. So I got rid of all of it except one envelope that didn't want to go in the circular file. And I thought, this is so stupid, that I'm trying to, clean the house. It'll make Roma happy. And this stubborn piece of mail, I can't put in the trash. I thought, oh, well, the joke is no doubt on me. And so every day, as I recall, I would try to put this envelope in the trash, but it wouldn't go. I thought, oh, well. And so then finally I got stubborn, I'm going to match stubbornness with this, piece of junk mail. And so I thought, okay, I'll open you up. I know that it's just going to be embarrassing for me, that there was no way there was any intuition with, keeping you on the counter or any of that. But okay, so it'd be about a 5-page piece or something. And so I was going through it, and it was just what I thought, advertisements and all that. And I just thought, I told you so. I should have, the first day, I should have got rid of you, but I didn't. And so whatever, I'm not going to tell anybody too embarrassing about this little episode. The last page, all of a sudden it caught my eye. And what was it? It was a person who had passed in local North San Juan, and she had left a little something for the others who were recording her life as a tribute, and said, everyone has these challenges, these burdens. Do what you can to put yourself in their shoes, to sympathize with them, to do what you can. Perfect timing. I don't know what I was going through at the time, but I said, Divine Mother, how you get the message out is so unique. This one really, I won't forget this for a while. And it hit me. It hit me right square in the heart where it needed to be. Hit its mark. Bullseye. And so we will know that we are, all of us, a work in progress. There's no question about it. I thought that it would be fun to share thought that I had absolutely numerous times. I built a house with my dad years and years ago prior to coming to Ananda. And I thought, wouldn't it be kind of a fun thing to go up to someone and say, as they're building their house, gee, doesn't look so nice. Perhaps it would be a friend. I think it would be, because if it wasn't, I might get clobbered. Just to kind of horse around that, gee, did you forget to put on the roof? Where's the windows? And so on. And of course, I never did that. But from time to time, passing different houses, I would think to myself, oh boy, that's a loose end. They've forgotten the tiles. Ridiculous. And so it is with us. When we introspect, when we go inside, in our meditation, in our seva, in all that we do, we have to keep in mind that we are a work in progress, but alongside of that, right alongside of it, we are finished. We were finished long back, as Swami made the extraordinary statement. I had to think about that, stop my mind. We're as old as God. Thought, I'm going to have to meditate on that. We're as old as God, and it's absolutely true, because it's all God. And so this combination in finding our way and in helping others to find their way, their path, again, as there is many paths that there are people, we have to appreciate that we are looking right now at God. And we have to back off anytime we get ourselves into trouble in boxing a person in, oh, I know that person, type A, whatever. It's just, that doesn't help us. It doesn't help them. It's God. And bit by bit, through meditation, primarily, through our service, through the many, many experiences we have in life, we are seeing, indeed, this is true. We're beginning to see God in ourselves and in one another. And this is the beginning of this borderline omnipresence, because that is who we are. That's where we are going. And so the many, many paths that are out there all have to be respected. In closing, at the Expanding Light, years ago, we were doing a weekend. And this fella came up to me and he said, so I got a little problem. I'm an atheist. I think his wife brought him there. And so he was being a good sport. And all I said to him was, I think you're going to be busy translating. Because I could appreciate that he came. And that took a lot of courage. And to say, I'm an atheist. Well, I might have said something more, likely I did, but he stayed for the weekend, and his face softened. Many, many times at the Expanding Light, I would see people coming in what I call the Mount Rushmore look, chiseled. And understandably, because, our lives, whether you're in the city or in the country, whatever it might be, it's quite a workout. And yet at the same time, within an hour, within a short period of time, you see then what I always appreciate is the soft look. The chiseled look to the soft look. And it happens just right before your eyes. And it is it's a miracle. It's so inspiring. And so whether, it's people that are atheists or agnostics or devout, whatever it might be, then we're learning. We really are, and that's the joy of spiritual community. We are learning to appreciate, again, our own struggles, the struggles of others, knowing that it's a happy ending, and that we are so privileged to finally get to the point in our evolution where we've pierced the veil sufficiently to go inside. Joy is within, as we know. So, God bless you all.
Every morning when I greet the sun, when I move forth through crowded ways, in my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always think of Thee. In my heart, Lord, ever so silently, I will always
Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air, be strong in your courage when others despair. Never in anger, never in haste, go without pride, be never abased. Freedom is yours if freedom you give, to all give it freely, in freedom you live. Mountains that stand up tall to the sky tell us no dreaming is ever too high. Dare to defy them, brave that high peak. You'll never know failure if bravely you seek. Now sing with me. Dare to be different, dare to be free, dare to roam far like wind on the sea. Fly like a gull, soar high on the air, be strong in your courage when others despair. Be strong in your courage when others despair. Thank you.